he's trying to get a jam out of me right off the top.
You write songs and you sing them, and then you also work in the employ of others.
That was and is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you consider those two vocations or jobs or perspectives to be really different things, or do they kind of work the same way?
They're absolutely, for me, they're totally different. It's just a different musical muscle.
Are there parts of your playing that you suppress in the company of others? I make it sound like it's sort of something dirty about what
absolutely.
you do. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, when I was younger, I spent a lot of time like just worrying about musical dexterity. And I think that's pretty natural, like, you know. And then as you get older and you know, you get into high school and you start to formulate your own ideas about who you are and stuff like that, I think that sort of stuff comes through in your playing. And for me, that I realized that I didn't care as much about the dexterity as I did about the moment or something, you know?
It was sort of just intuitive that I figured that might be something that you consider, because I've noticed such a difference in the kind of sounds that come out of you as Bahamas versus the other sounds that I've heard from you. I play with Sarah McLachlan, and I have for almost 2 decades now. One of the reasons I got that job when I was 19 years old is that I denied that I had ever played the blues. When I got to Vancouver, I basically didn't go to a single blues jam, because there is and has been a bit of a blues ghetto. I'm actually a fan of the blues when done in a way that I think is really beautiful.
Waters is one of my favorite guitar players.
Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff. But because I sort of cast myself as an ambient type player, I managed to get work in that field, where had I presented myself as a blues player, it might have limited my choices. So I think I did something very similar in terms of, like, I don't do that. That's not who I am. I'm something different.
Well, I mean, the blues field is it's very competitive.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think I even have the chops to compete with that. So I'm glad I figured that out a while ago. But I don't actually have the blues, so it's hard to conjure them from nowhere. You know, I don't know.
Well, that's interesting, because one of the questions, I have my laptop here with a couple of notes, and mostly what they're there for is in case...
Nobody with a laptop has the blues. Right? I have a laptop.
When it comes to something like the blues, and the reason I would ask you this is because I hear, like, at some point you spent time learning classic or blues or rock and roll stuff. I can hear it in your playing. Like,
very much so, yeah.
And if there's blues in your playing, you've already sort of confessed that Muddy Waters is a hero of yours to some degree. Can you learn that kind of guitar playing without really absorbing the music itself? Does it matter?
Well, I mean, I think that the context is the most important thing. You know, I think you take Muddy Waters out of that context and you put him, you know, ask him to play in John Mayer's band, and it's going to be ridiculous, you know. But in that context, it's like the heaviest thing ever, and he's just going, you know, he's just doing one note forever, and you're just in awe of that, you know.
I think of the way you approach music as being really simple, in the sense that, for example, I don't see you with a pedal board. I don't see you with a bass player in your band. Like, the kind of things that a lot of people lean on. Like, I used to have the big pedal board with all the stuff on it. Now, basically, I've got a line selector to choose amplifiers and reverb in case the amp doesn't have reverb, and then a tuner. But I used to have the thing with all the stuff on it, and it got to the point where I realized I was focusing so much attention on the floor, and I realized I should be focusing out there.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that I should be, like, flirting with the audience. I just mean I should be delivering the music out there, and the concept of simplifying seems to encourage that, right? Like, is it conscious on your part to not have a bass player, or to, I mean, what's...
Well, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I have, you know, some guitar pedals, but I rode my bike today, so it's just kind of easier to do it this way. But
As far as the instruments are concerned, I know that lately I've seen you play the Silvertone and some harmony guitars. But you actually named, was it your first, or one of your records after a Stratocaster? Was it called Pink Strat?
Pink Strat,
Pink
yeah.
Strat. I don't know what your relationship with the Strat is, but I've watched the Strat ebb and flow in popularity through music in the last, well, I don't know, certainly since the 80s. Like everybody had a Strat in the 80s, and then it seems like in the kind of mid-90s, everybody got rid of their Strats and they replaced them with different things. And it's a topic of discussion with guitar players. It comes up, oh, you play Strats? I hate Strats. Well, I love Strats, and it's like this thing.
It is, yeah. It's a polarizing subject for sure.
And sort of the reason I bring it up is because there was a particular song, What's Worse? There's one version of it on YouTube that I watched, and your tone was decidedly Knopfler-esque. And it made me laugh because he plays with his fingers and he plays a Strat, and you play with your fingers and you play the Strat. And I happen to be a fan.
Yeah, me too.
I think he's a great player.
The stuff that he did with Bob Dylan in the 80s is some of the most moving music.
Infidels and Empire Burlesque.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
And
but those songs are pretty great too.
The songs are amazing.
Underrated records.
Yeah.
Like What's a Sweetheart Like You doing in a dump like this?
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with that song.
And those records.
Those of you who haven't heard, you gotta go get it.
Those are the two records that I've heard the most of Dylan's.
Yeah.
Just because my parents had them.
Yeah. I just think it's a wonderful pairing. You know, just because Dylan is so loose, you just imagine him like calling his manager saying like, I want to record, book the time. You know, he doesn't worry about the musicians. He just walks in and basically starts playing.
Yeah.
And to have Bob Dylan walk into a room and start playing and have someone like Knopfler there, I think it's, the two things temper each other well, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really nice recordings, for sure.
Well, that's interesting that you're a fan of those records. I'm reluctant to bring them up sometimes because I'm afraid I'm going to get punched because most people don't like those records.
Oh my God, no, I love them. I love them. If you want to start a cover band or something like that, I'll be Knopfler, you can be Dylan. I'll bring my Strat, it'll be great.
We'll both have Strats.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'll wear a leather blazer. Things will get weird.
I'll wear a headband.
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome. What are we going to be called?
Bad Dylan.